Mr. Jones, I've heard people call you many things since we've been here the last hour. I've heard Mr. Jones. They refer to you as Jerry. Someone called you Uncle Jerry a minute ago. What? You have a lot of names here as you walk around.
Well, I do prefer, especially from you, Jerry.
Is that really what I feel like? I can call you Jerry because that means we're friends now.
Of course, we are friends, but mainly you've got that Arkansas blood in you, which qualifies us both to have a little fun.
Probably cousins.
And why not? Can be. I've got a lot of Joneses running around out here. One just get in line. Yeah.
This a story that I've rarely shared, and there's 0% chance that you would remember this, and I don't expect you to. But it's probably 15 or so years ago. You were in Hot Springs. You were sitting in a section of a restaurant, and I think it was Oaklawn. I was at the races. You were sitting in a section between the restaurant and the bar waiting on somebody, and I saw you sitting there, and I thought, Jerry Jones from Arkansas. I'm from Arkansas. Why can't I not go up and say hello? And so I approached you, and I said hello, and I sat beside you. I was waiting on people too. And you and I talked for like 10 to 15 minutes, and I kind of just told you my story. You talked to me for a while, and I remember thinking, I can't believe Jerry Jones is a normal, like, nice person, because we always see big Jerry Jones, the guy that's running the Cowboys, but you were such a normal person. And at the end of the conversation, you literally gave me your cell phone number and said, if you ever need anything, call me. I never called you. I actually needed a few things, but I never called you. But I left that going, like, Jerry Jones is like a for real caring guy, like a guy who seemingly cares about relationships a lot. Is that would you say that is the key to your success here has been relationships?
Well, let me say this. My life is spent with my one-on-one relationships. What is a little confusing about this thing is that the more visibility you have, and frankly, being associated with the Cowboys, I don't ever confuse the interest in Jerry Jones with what the real deal is, and that's the interest in the Dallas Cowboys. I'll say this seriously. Yes, I did have a marvelous young life growing up in Arkansas, and I was coached up real good in life, not necessarily football, but life. Great parents, entrepreneurs, always struggling, but wonderful around the kitchen table, osmosis. But certainly got a great appreciation for the kinds of lives that make up Arkansas, for sure. And there's no question that my affinity is there. I continue to have things there. I continue to have all the relationships I've had. But having said that, when I got involved with the Cowboys, I knew it was going to be tough, because the Cowboys were losing $1 million a month in cash flow, and I bought part of them from the government that had been foreclosed on. And football was not going strong then, not pro football at the time. As a matter of fact, I don't and never have heard of anybody that ever made a positive dollar in sports, owning a team, period, football or otherwise. Where I'm going with this, but I was proud. I was really proud to my master's thesis at Arkansas when I got to play on our national championship team. But I was also going to school. My master's thesis was the role of marketing in modern-day football. I dreamed of somehow being a part of a life that was had something to do with football. But this is my point. To everyone, go to your passion. Because I just thought that I had accomplished a little something that I could be proud of when I bought the Cowboys. What I didn't realize was that every day, inspired by getting to be a part of the future, getting to be a part of the fans, getting to be a part of the game, it just caused me to try things I would have never done and cause things to happen that would have never happened. And so the facts are, I really was just getting started. The Cowboys inspired me way beyond just the touchdowns or any financial gain.
I wrote a book called Fail Until You Don't, and I had Governor Hutchinson in Arkansas and Chris Stapleton, a lot of guys that we know as super successful artists or in business, talk about their biggest failure, but how that actually led them to their biggest successes. And we see you as just an eternal success story because we see you on TV or we hear you. Was there a certain failure early on that actually taught you so much that allowed all of this success later on?
Well, when we were first married, my wife Jean and I, they came to the house when she stepped out one day and took her purse and grabbed all the credit cards out and cut them in two. About 15 years before I bought the Cowboys, I came to Dallas. And after I bought the Cowboys, a writer asked when we didn't win but one game our first year, which was a little downer. But when we didn't, he said, these have got to be some of the roughest days of your life. And I said, no, not even here in Dallas. About 15 years ago, I landed at Love Field, took my card up to rent a car from I think, Hertz. And they looked down a list and cut my card into it and said, young man,
cut it in front of you?
You need to learn how to pay your bills. Now, that's a hard day in Dallas, not necessarily a one-loss record with the Cowboys.
So much Salvation Army, I feel like people know about it now because of what you guys do as far as starting that campaign. Why is that so important to you guys to have the kettle and Salvation Army as not only part of the Cowboys, but just to be a part of that brand all over the country?
Again, Bobby, the thing that surprised, I'm never surprised at the interest in the team. But what does surprise me is when I travel, and I travel a lot, I'll have as many people come up and say thanks for what you do for the Salvation Army and the Red Kettle as say go Cowboys. It probably is the most meaningful or notable thing for me about having been associated with pro sports or the Dallas Cowboys. We have 3 million volunteers in this country on Red Kettle time, in the Christmas time. While people are having meetings or board meetings about how to help people, they've got Santa Claus under a tree. They've got shoes on somebody, or they got food in their stomach before they can even have a board meeting in other organizations. And they get it there with most of the dollar that you put in that kettle going right where you'd love to see it go. That's why I'm such a fan of them. If we could play football as good as the people at that Salvation Army do their job, we'd be world champs every year.
Do you get nervous before games?
Very.
Still?
And I'm nervous right now. Very nervous. I always have, but really almost sick nervous.
This many games into owning such a big franchise, and you're nervous. Why do you think the nerves are in you still today?
Well, you look at what might be the possibility of coming out playing good. If we can get through this thing without serious injuries. All of the things, I think, like anything really, but you need to be positive to play football. I played football for the Razorbacks, and I had to call on it, boy. It hurt me to play football. I love baseball. So one time my trainer said, Jones, he's had a Virginia brogue, and he said, Jones, you've got to have the lowest tolerance for pain of any kid we've ever had with the Razorbacks. And I said, damn it, Groundy, it hurts me more than it does everybody else. I said, hell, their toes are hanging off. And I said, it hurts me to get kicked. I deserve an honor. Figure up an honor for me. I'm brave to be out there. It hurts more than they do.
You played running back in high school and then offensive line for the '64 championship team, right? Am I accurate there?
Correct. You've done your homework, boy.
Well, I live it. I'm diehard. I'm diehard Razorback, diehard Jerry Jones. So what's that transition? And did you not want to play running back in college, or did they say you should now play offensive line?
One of the toughest thing I ever had to stomach was my junior year. I was the starting fullback for the Razorbacks. I was so proud. I replayed almost everything that was going to happen for the year. We came to school, and I started the first 3 or 4 games. I pulled a ham, and we had some other fullbacks, good ones. Bobby Nix, Charles Daniels, people that we all could remember back. But we lost all of our guards. And I had played guard my first year at the Razorbacks, so they moved me to guard. I went over to talk to Coach Brawls to tell him my heart wasn't in it. I couldn't move to guard. I wanted to carry the ball. I wanted to catch passes. And so he said, fine, Jerry. Well, another coach came back to my locker, and he went around the room, and he named guys that had never been on the field. Fred Marshall, who became the great quarterback that led us to our national championship team. Kenny Dean, a great running back, never been on the field. There were all kinds, handfuls that had never been on the field. And my coach looked at me and said, Jerry, I told you, Mother and Daddy, when I offered you the scholarship, I'd take care of you. He says, Coach Brawls will sit you down, and you may never see a field again. You can make this move that he's asking you to do, and you can have a hell of a career and be a starter. Don't you see the handwriting on the wall? Well, I did. I did like he did. I was mad about having done it then. I'm mad about it at 80 years old today. I'm still mad about it. I should have been carrying the ball and catching passes.
What if a player says that to you? What if they're like, I don't want to move. I don't want to return punts. What kind of conversation would you have with them?
Well, first of all, because really, as much as anything, that story, I would have grace. I've had it said to me in different ways, not necessarily the same situation about a position, but I've had it to me with other men and women. And when I see somebody buck, when I see them stop and come in, and it's hard, I know it's hard, and tell me, look, I respect you, I'm not trying to be awkward, but I want to go this way. I respect that, and I remember that story, and I go there. I'm a cat that's had 8 lives out of 9. And so I'm a life giver, I hope, and do show grace when somebody has some real mindset as to where they want to go with their life.
We've got 3 questions left. Now, this is an urban legend that I've heard about you, that when you were, and you can tell me if this is false, but I want to get the whole story out, and you've had such an instrumental part of designing this facility, which is still A+. And we were talking earlier, after 14 years, people still treat it like it's brand new, and they go, have you seen it yet? But the story is that there was a tile that you wanted, and you flew to another country to say, I'd like to have this tile. They said, we don't have it, it's on back order. So you said you bought the whole place, then you got the tile, then you sold the place and made money off the selling of the business. Is that story true?
Well, let me say this. I don't know that I made money when I sold it back.
So that's true.
But I was creative in getting the tile. Now, you had a little problem. When you want to foot a tile in a place like this, you're talking about 4 million square feet, 5 million square feet. So if tile is $3.20, then multiply that times 3 or 4 million. Well, in this particular case, I was trying to get my wife, Jean, to find the perfect tile for the right price, which was a lot less, but she found it. And one of the other things she did is she took granite, and they chopped the granite up, and then they aggregated it back as a solid. And it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, and we have it on our bar tops all around. You
bought the company?
This place, yes. This place did have the benefit of us all getting in and looking at every countertop and looking at every corner that was out there, and it was a labor of love. While we're talking about it, and I know we're talking too much about Arkansas, but Coach Brawls was such an inspiration for me here. And he really gave me a lot of keep going and a lot of confidence, if you will, on it. He took us to the Astrodome when I was 19. We were down there to get ready to play Nebraska in the Cotton Bowl here in Dallas, and he took us away from the fans. He took us out there. There'd never been a game played in the Astrodome, but it was ready to go. Golly, it looked like Mars. How could you think about playing a game? And all I know is that from that point forward, I read everything I could, talked to everybody I could about it. Roll the clock forward 30 years later, I was thinking about this place, AT&T. Now, show you how kicking in for young people happens. I didn't know where I was going to get all the money, but I knew one thing. A man could do it because I had been in one that a man did, the Astrodome. Well, guess what happens when you're young? When you get a chance to do it, you go. You can put 5 of those damn Astrodomes in here today. So you always, if you get inspired early, you can make it go.
Question 2 of 3, talk about music for a second. In your free time, who do you listen to? And then the ACMs are coming here. Like, you're super instrumental in that. Why do you feel like country music is so on brand with what you're doing? And then also, who do you listen to?
Well, first of all, it comes natural. When my father had his store, a grocery store, my sister and I lived above it. But in the middle of the store, he built a bandstand. And he brought in a great marketer announcer in Little Rock called Brother Hal. And he brought Brother Hal in from Forest City, Arkansas. And Brother Hal did live amateur talent contest, and he basically made and produced shows right out of the middle of the store. It was a big stand right in the middle of the store. And so I just grew up. I was around it all the time. I was around the store constantly. Right across the street, there was a great, if you will, honky-tonk. And some of the greatest names of country, Hank Williams, those kind of guys. And I got to see it because of my age evolve up through Elvis, a couple of years older than me. But my point is, I have lived a great mainstream of country and, if you will, a little of the rock and roll that we all look back on today. Well, I lived that, and my dad would just frankly, in his own way, indoctrinate it. He had a band called the Pat Supermarketeers. His name was Pat.
That's what the supermarket was called, Pat's, right?
Exactly,
yeah.
Pat's. And he would take that band, and he'd be out late and having a good time with the country music rolling. And, boy, he'd bring that band in, and here it would go. And he'd only let his friends stay in, but everybody was his friend. So they'd have a big time and keep it open.
Who'd you listen to this morning? Just give me a couple artists you like still.
Oh, I like Stapleton, of course, and not of course, but I like Stapleton, and I stop in my tracks when any of those great ones come in. But I'm a great Roy Orbison fan. And he'll stop me in my tracks when I see some of his great music. And I can't move when Dream comes on. Dreams.
I'll sing you a little bit. Dream, 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 dream. That's pretty good, huh?
Roy, you're right on key.
Yeah. All right, final question for you, Mr. Jones. Sorry, Jerry, final question. I know that so much of what you do is given back to not only this community, but also you can drive on the campus of Fayetteville, the football complex. You guys have done so much there. But now there's a museum being built right outside of the stadium. Can you tell me about that?
Well, we're extraordinarily privileged to get to use this forum, if you will, the Cowboys, the visibility, and the National Medal of Honor winners, not winners, but recipients, decided to let us help fund and build the National Medal of Honor Museum. And in conjunction with that, the same monument is, not the same one, but a monument has been built in Washington to recognize the great stories of, as patriots, of what men and women have done for this country. And I think it's so big right now. Where the Cowboys want to do something special is it's like this stadium. This stadium was not built for the 100,000 that come to the game. It's a great place. But it was built for $35 million. It was built for $30 million. That's who Al Michaels is talking to. That's who John Madden was talking to. Well, we want to take the stories of the Medal of Honor recipients, and we want those to not only be recognized through a tangible thing close by, but somehow we want those stories to get involved, somehow mixed in. Wonder how we're going to do that. We've got a plan. And mixed in, and so that when 30 million people are watching these games, they can hear about what these Medal of Honors did for them to get to sit there with the freedom to watch the game.
Jerry, I appreciate the time. Thank you very much. Massive fan, and can't wait to come back for the ACMs, which they're thinking about letting me host. I think a call from Jerry Jones saying Bobby Bones is my guy would really kick that door in. Just
well,
saying.
Bobby, I'm a great fan of yours. I really am. And let's don't make this the last time that we have a visit.
I'll see you next week.
You've got a passion between just generally what you think is important, and music is a big part of it. Music is a big part of the Cowboys. We play it hard every day during practice, just to have the kind of replicating the noise that they'll be seeing. And I was down here in the dressing room. I wish I'd have taken you down, but you couldn't have heard yourself talk in that dressing room. And the biggest fights that come on in a dressing room is whether we're going to play country, we're going to play some soul, and then every now and then one will step up and say, guys, I'm tired of this arguing. We're going to have a little church music in here before we go to the field.
And maybe a little Roy Orbison. Dream. Jerry Jones, everybody. Jerry, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bobby.